Akira is a lonely guy who has never really been interested in girls until he accidentally tastes the spit of an emo baddie. From that moment, everything in his life changes. He becomes strangely obsessed with her, hoping to get closer and exchange more of those mysterious fluids with her. It all begins when a mysterious emo girl named Mikoto transfers into Akira's class. The teacher tells her to sit next to him, and Akira warmly welcomes her, telling her she can come to him if she runs into any problem. Later during lunch break, Akira finds Mikoto fast asleep until a couple of girls show up asking her to eat lunch with them. But Mikoto quickly brushes them off, casually revealing that she's in the middle of a naughty dream. With that, she goes straight back to sleep, leaving Akira completely speechless. Once class starts again, everyone is bored out of their minds until Mikoto suddenly bursts into laughter. As everyone stares at her weirdly, she lightly says that she just found something funny and couldn't hold it in. From that day on, Mikoto is labeled as the weirdo, and everyone avoids her like she has cooties. One day after school, Akira notices that everyone has left but Mikoto is still sleeping in class. He approaches her to wake her up, and Mikoto lifts her head with drool covering her desk and her face. Akira is shocked as he finally sees her eyes, usually hidden behind her hair, and tells her to clean her face before going home. Once she leaves, Akira's attention drifts to the little puddle of drool she left behind, and he actually goes for a taste. The moment he feels the taste, he can't help but think it's better than any expensive celebrity bathwater, until he realizes how messed up this is and runs off in embarrassment. Later during sports class, Akira suddenly collapses with a high fever, and Mikoto mysteriously watches him as the boys carry him to the infirmary. The next day, the teacher announces that Akira's fever has gotten worse and he might not return to school anytime soon. That evening, Akira is resting in his room when his sister tells him someone came to see him. Assuming it's his friend, he tells them to come up, only to be shocked when he sees it's Mikoto. She calmly asks how he's doing. Nervously, he says he's just under the weather, but Mikoto bluntly replies that what he has isn't a normal cold. Confused, Akira stares at her until she asks him directly if he swallowed her drool. He is left speechless. Mikoto then scoops some of her spit with her finger and puts it into Akira's mouth. Akira instantly melts into the taste until Mikoto asks how he feels. At that moment, he realizes his fever has completely gone down. Mikoto explains that he was going through withdrawal after tasting her special juice, and the reason he feels better now is because he tasted it again. As she turns to leave, Akira stops her and asks if her saliva contains something that makes him addicted. Mikoto bursts into laughter and tells him to stop believing conspiracy theories. Then, jumping onto his bed, she suddenly becomes serious and tells him he doesn't have a common cold at all. It's simply that the moment he saw her eyes, he fell in love with her, and now he's lovesick. With that, Mikoto leaves, while Akira sits in shock. The next day after school, Mikoto announces they're walking home together. On the way, she suddenly stops and tells Akira to lick her spit. When he hesitates, she warns him he'll fall into withdrawal again. Without further questions, Akira takes her finger into his mouth, realizing she was waiting for him the entire time so he wouldn't get sick again. As she turns to leave, she tells him she'll be waiting for him after school tomorrow, making Akira smile. From that day on, this becomes their little routine. Before he knows it, Akira realizes he's completely in love with Mikoto. The next time they meet, he confesses his feelings, but Mikoto simply tells him to prove them through actions. Akira tries to kiss her, but she stops him, telling him to express his love with originality. Now confused, Akira panics, saying he has no idea how to do that. Mikoto comforts him, saying she'll wait for him no matter what. Touched by her words, Akira suddenly takes a picture of a girl from his wallet and reveals that she was his longtime crush until now. He tears the picture apart and declares that he belongs to Mikoto from this moment on. Suddenly, Mikoto vomits out a pool of saliva, explaining that whenever she's truly happy, her saliva overflows uncontrollably. She then asks Akira if he's still a virgin, and once he says yes, Mikoto reveals that the day she burst out laughing was because she heard a strange voice in her head saying she would lose her V-card to him. The next day at school, the boys rate which girl has the best naish in the entire school, but all Akira can think about is his new girlfriend and her addictive mouth juices. Later on, he asks his homie Ueno what he should do if he hypothetically gets a girlfriend. Ueno tells him the first step is to ease into the relationship by holding hands. So after school, Akira tries to hold Mikoto's hand, but she bluntly rejects him, saying there's no need for them to do such corny things. She walks ahead, leaving Akira staring at the ground and realizing why men always need someone on the side. The next day at school, he tries getting advice again from his virgin best friend on how he should woo a girl. Yuino looks at him suspiciously, saying this doesn't sound hypothetical at all, which instantly makes Akira panic. So Akira tries turning the question back at Yuino, asking him if he's getting any action. Yuino casually replies that masters don't play the game, they teach it. Then he adds that before holding hands, Akira needs to establish communication because girls dig that. So as usual after class, Akira swallows Mikoto's throat smoothie, but this time he asks her what her hobbies are. She tells him her hobby is scissors, confusing Akira until she hands him a piece of cloth. As he holds it, Mikoto pulls a pair of scissors from her underwear and absolutely goes ham cutting up the cloth. When she's done, she reveals she shaped it into a camellia flower, because Akira's name means camellia. Still stunned, Akira asks her why she even carries scissors in her underwear. Mikoto simply says, because I'm emo like that. Akira then nervously asks if it's okay for her to flash her underwear to a man like that, but she assures him it's fine as long as that man is him. As she walks away, Akira can't help but stare at her Naish bouncing down the hallway, feeling accomplished that he finally established communication with his girl. Later that night, Akira thinks about Mikoto's white underwear so much that he ends up having a naughty dream where she shows up wearing nothing but her love shorts. After waking up to insane morning wood, he heads to school, where he asks Yuino what comes before communication and holding hands. Now certain this man 100% has a girlfriend, Yuino tells him that the first step is greeting. Later in class, Akira thinks hard about what Yuino said. His thoughts drift to his first encounter with Mikoto when he told her to come to him if she ever had a question. Then his mind drifts again to her underwear, which somehow makes him wonder if she has that gorilla grip. Later that day, Mikoto flashes a candy and asks if he wants some. When he turns it down, she pops it in her own mouth and tells him they'll be parting ways earlier than usual today. Akira is confused, but Mikoto simply says she'll wait for him tomorrow at their usual spot. As Akira watches her leave, he wonders if he did something wrong since she didn't feed him her mouth gravy today. Suddenly, Mikoto returns. She takes the candy out of her mouth and pops it right into Akira, asking him if it tastes sweet. This gives Akira major blue balls, so he instinctively grabs Mikoto. She immediately pulls out her scissors again and goes crazy with them, proving once more why she might need to be lobotomized. When she's done, she warns him to never grab her without asking first. After she leaves, Akira gets pissed at Mikoto's behavior. His fragile ego can't handle being rejected, which makes him think they'll never act like a normal couple at this rate. The next day, Yuino hands Akira 2 movie tickets, inspiring him to take Mikoto out on a date. After school, he asks her if she'd like to go out with him on the weekend. To his disappointment, she tells him she already has plans, then feeds him her mouth goop anyway. But this time, Akira isn't happy. He asks if he's really her man, and when she confirms it, he complains that they haven't done anything normal couples do. Mikoto disagrees, reminding him that they do have a unique bond, then flexes her spit-covered finger. She tells him this is their bond. Then she asks Akira to follow her so she can prove they're in a relationship. She leads him deep into the forest to a rundown building where she makes him sit on a chair. Once he does, she asks him to promise one thing: keep his eyes shut unless she tells him to open them. Now terrified for his life, Akira gulps hard but promises to obey. Once his eyes are closed, Mikoto tells him that the drool she is about to whip out is what they're feeding to angels in heaven, so he better buckle up. With that, she feeds Akira her spit syrup, and suddenly his heart starts pounding faster in his chest. Seeing him like this, Mikoto tells him he's going wild because she was going wild while feeding him, sending a tornado right into his pants. Akira starts to nosebleed and nervously asks why she was feeling that way. Instead of telling him that she was actually standing there half exposed, Mikoto simply says they are connected through drool. After getting dressed, she finally tells Akira to open his eyes. On their way out, Akira can't help but ask what she would have done if he broke his promise and peeked. She instantly takes out her scissors and goes crazy with them, clearly warning him what would have happened if he betrayed her trust. As they part ways, Akira sighs in relief that he didn't mess up. Later that night, Akira dreams of Mikoto again, but this time he uncovers her chamber of secrets. The next day, Mikoto finds him smiling to himself and blushing, so she asks what he's thinking about. Since he can't tell her she was doing questionable things to him in his dream, he just says it's a secret. Hearing that, she sticks her finger in his mouth and then tastes his lips. Her nose suddenly starts bleeding and she tells Akira he can imagine her however he wants, but she definitely wouldn't be wearing that ugly hat. Akira freezes and asks if she knows what happened in the dream, but she just blushes and replies, that's also a secret. After school, Akira is feeling down since he couldn't hang out with her. But when he enters the classroom, he's shocked to see his Rizless friend Ueno locking lips with a petite girl. Ueno panics when he notices Akira watching and begs him to keep the relationship a secret. The next day, Akira can't stop thinking about how nobody knows Ueno is secretly dating Oka. Then it hits him, nobody knows about him and Makoto either. His eyes drift toward Makoto's lips and he suddenly wonders how great kissing must feel. After school, he walks home with her and out of nowhere she stops and says she wants to chill at the park. Once they sit down, she says she wants to do homework together. Akira tries to bring up how he caught Ueno kissing Oka, but when Makoto doesn't give him a real reaction, he feels disappointed. Suddenly, Makoto asks him if he wants to kiss her. Startled, Akira freaks out a bit before finally admitting that yes, he wants to explore her bubblegum pink lips. Upon hearing this, Makoto digs through her bag and pulls out a test tube, telling Akira to hold it. She strikes a JoJo pose, turns into a whole tornado, then blushes and asks for the tube. She fills it with her drool and tells Akira to drink it before sleeping. That night, Akira goes to bed early. His sister smirks, assuming she'll find sticky sheets in the morning. In his room, Akira opens the vial and tastes Makoto's drool, wondering why her tongue tonic is so sweet. As he falls asleep, he dreams of sharing candy with Makoto mouth to mouth. When he asks if this counts as their first kiss, she confirms it, but he complains their first kiss should involve real feelings. The next morning at school, he finds Makoto dozing off with drool all over the desk. He wishes he could reincarnate as her table. After classes, while walking home, Akira brings up the dream. Makoto tells him to follow her into the park. Once alone, she asks if he wants to kiss. Akira coughs and says they should wait until they fully understand their feelings. She smiles and says she feels the same. Still, he regrets rejecting the makeout session. The next day, he watches Makoto doing a cool pencil trick. Trying to copy her, he fails miserably. After class, he sees another boy, Agata, eyeing her. Before he can say anything, Ueno distracts him and Agata approaches Makoto, taking the trash bin from her hand and insisting on helping. He asks if she'd go out with him. Later, Akira walks home with Makoto and brings up Agata. She tells him to eat her goop. After he does, she explains how Agata proposed. When Akira asks her response, she says she told Agata to wait until tomorrow. Akira declares he'll go tell Agata they're already dating, but Makoto stops him and tells him not to meddle. She walks off, leaving him upset. That night, Akira goes to bed stressed. He thinks Agata, who's always acting like a pimp, might win her over. The next morning, during break, Agata asks Makoto for her answer. Instead, she tells him to close his eyes. When he does, she shoves a saliva-coated finger in his mouth. Horrified, he asks why she's acting like his uncle. Ignoring him, she asks how he feels. He says he's traumatized but fine. Makoto tells him that even if he were the last man alive, she still wouldn't ride his pony. Later, Akira asks what happened and she bluntly says she rejected Agata. Relieved, he opens his mouth for his daily spit slurpee, but his nose starts bleeding. She hands him a face mask, admitting she was supposed to wear it but went commando instead. She explains she rejected Agata because he doesn't understand her like Akira does and that she finally feels like he's her boyfriend. The next day at lunch, Akira finds Ueno smiling to himself. When asked why, Ueno says that since summer is starting, he'll get to see his girl in shorts that make her look like something crafted in Willy Wonka's chocolate factory. Akira sighs and says he's simple-minded for being happy about something like that. Ueno fires back that Akira doesn't understand because he doesn't have a girlfriend. Akira looks at Makoto sleeping next to him and fantasizes about seeing her walking around in short shorts. Suddenly, Oka approaches Makoto and asks if she wants to eat lunch together. The entire class looks over as Makoto rejects her, saying she's skinny maxing, so she won't be eating lunch with her, and tells her not to wake her up again in the future. Instead of getting offended, Oka simply asks if she can sit next to Makoto and eat her lunch there. Makoto tells her to go ahead and head straight to the place where Iren and Mikasa get married. As Oka starts eating, Makoto suddenly wakes up and comments that her lunch smells good. Oka proudly explains she's good at cooking and offers Makoto a bite. The boys stare in shock as Makoto actually lets Oka feed her. Later that day, Akira asks if something happened between her and Oka. When Makoto asks what he means, he reminds her of how Oka was feeding her earlier. Makoto explains that Oka randomly asked her to have lunch together and that's all. Hearing this, Akira admits he felt happy seeing other girls approach her. But Makoto flatly tells him she doesn't need friends because she already has him. This makes Akira overwhelmingly happy as Makoto then offers him her goop so his mouth can be baptized. That night, Akira dreams of Makoto feeding him. Just as the dream is about to make him goon without doing any effort, he wakes up. The next morning, Ueno is excited to see his girlfriend in her sports uniform, but the boys soon learn they have judo indoors. Meanwhile, the girls have their own outdoor sports class. Makoto participates in a relay race, but she ends up tumbling face first onto the ground, bruising her knee. The teacher urges her to go to the infirmary. Right then, Oka arrives, revealing she's on the health committee and will take Makoto there. When they reach the nurse's office, they find it completely empty, so Oka decides to take care of Makoto herself. After bandaging her up, Oka casually takes a drink from the infirmary refrigerator and gulps it down. Makoto, confused, asks if she's allowed to take drinks from there. Oka explains that she's on the health committee and uses the fridge to store her own drinks. With that, she offers Makoto a bottle and Makoto accepts. As they share a quiet moment, Oka admits that she wants to be Makoto's friend because she finds her so interesting. But Makoto coldly responds that they can't be friends because she's a lone wolf. Accepting her rejection, Oka tells her that if she ever changes her mind, she'll be ready to exchange friendship bracelets with her. As Oka turns to leave, Makoto suddenly calls out in shock, pointing at Oka's knee, which is bleeding exactly like hers. Confused, Oka wonders why she has the same wound. Makoto then stands up and slices her own hand. Without a word, she beckons Oka closer and tells her to put her spit-covered finger in her mouth. Oka hesitates but then quietly accepts. Once the strange ritual is done, Makoto tells her to look at her hand. It's now bleeding just like Makoto's. Makoto explains that since she swallowed some of her drool, they're now deeply connected. Oka is completely confused, but Makoto gently holds her bruised hand and apologizes for hurting her twice. Trying to stay positive, Oka says this must be a sign that they're meant to be friends, but Makoto refuses again, saying she's not the only one connected to her through spit. Closing the distance, Oka asks if she's talking about Akira. Makoto freezes as Oka reveals that she caught both of them together yesterday while walking home. That moment is when Oka became fascinated with Makoto and wanted to befriend her. Excited, Oka asks whether Akira's body reacts the same way after swallowing Makoto's spit. Makoto confirms it and explains that her physical and emotional state gets transferred to Akira, which lets them communicate without words. Still intrigued, Oka watches as Makoto turns to leave, telling her she can find her interesting, but she doesn't need any more friends. She simply tells Oka to take care of her wound. Later that day, as Makoto feeds Akira her mouth fuel, he suddenly begins wincing in pain, and Makoto instantly apologizes, realizing he's feeling her injuries. The next morning, Yuino tells Akira that he's going to ask Oka to eat lunch with him. Confused, Akira reminds him that they're secretly dating, but Yuino claims they can communicate telepathically now since they've already bumped uglies. When lunchtime arrives, Yuino stares at Oka like he eats crayons for breakfast. Suddenly, Makoto stands up and Oka follows her out. In the hallway, she asks Makoto to lick her spit so she can understand why Makoto wanted to befriend her. After she does, Makoto freaks out, saying this is gourmet stuff. Oka explains that she was imagining kissing Yuino right before asking Makoto to taste her spit. Then she asks if Makoto still hasn't kissed Akira. Makoto stays quiet, so Oka backs off and instead pulls out a bento, saying she cooked too much food. Before Makoto can answer, her stomach growls loudly. Embarrassed, she admits that she used to be the queen of skipping meals, but now her body automatically craves Oka's food. Relieved, Oka suggests they eat together from now on, and even if they don't end up becoming best friends, she still wants them to get along. If you loved this anime story and want to know what happens next, drop a comment below and I'll make part 2 just for you. Don't forget to like the video and subscribe to the channel.